And as we get set for this very, very interesting session lined up right here, our next speakers welcome a lot of questions. And this time, they say that, well, the more we get to ask each other questions, the more we get to interact, the more interesting this conversation is going to get. So may I once again present to you Mr. Milind Pathak, Group Chief Business Officer, Route Mobile, and a round of applause for Mr. Dhruv Sayani, Founder, KT Professional. Please put your hands together for both the gentlemen joining us. Over to you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was not kind of ready to start 5-7 minutes early. It's always, we often run late on time. But this is good on time, so potentially we'll be able to engage you more. So Dhruv, it's great catching up with you around here. And before I actually kind of start, why don't you just give a context so that I'm then able to have a conversation around communications, commerce as we go on. It would be good to just get a broad perspective of what business are you in.
Firstly, thank you and very warm afternoon to everyone here. It's been a great session so far from the morning, a lot of insight, a lot of information, and it's always good to hear viewpoints when we all represent different industries. So just to give you a very quick perspective about myself, so of course, my company, KT Professional, we're in the beauty business. So I don't know if there's anyone in the beauty business in the audience. When I say beauty, I'm talking of hair care and beauty. Or you are? Great. Which company are you from? Sorry. Okay, great. Good to know. So yes, so we're in the hair care space. We're into the beauty business where we supply products to salons. So we typically do, treatments for salon use, cystines, Botox, keratin services, and protein services for salon use. We're present in 27,000 salons across 86 cities in 27 states of India. And we're probably India's only protein-focused company that is selling hair solutions and largely hair tech solutions under the single important protein in your hair, that's keratin. So we're a 100 SKU company in that domain.
Fantastic. So some of the points that you say, 27,000 odd salons. I know you're online also. You also sell through marketplaces. You do both B2B, you do both B2C. How do you communicate with your consumers and your B2B partners? How are you evolved on that side?
So to be honest with you, since our journey has been just around 5 years long, it's always been a challenge, especially in the B2B space and the salon space, which is largely governed by education. And where we have to really get into a space which is governed by the big boys from Europe. And at the same time, try and bring in a mindset of using products that actually work on Indian hair textures, if I was so to say. And India is a diverse country, right? We can move across the landscape of India and understand that water and weather conditions in India change every 100 kilometers. So with that kind of diversity, we always have, when as a company, we've had that challenge to really interact with these B2B salons. And I'm not talking about your A-list salons. We're talking in India, we probably have A-list salons that we can count on our fingertips, not more than 15 or 20 in each city. But we're talking of the numerous numbers of B's and C's salons that are there in every society, every locality, that are actually thriving on more business than your franchise salons would do. So I think that really has been a challenge for our company to first interact, build the trust, goodwill, faith, and then even start a journey of brand recognition, brand recall by using tech.
And how have you kind of done that? What have you used? Have you used calling? Have you used video? Because there's a lot of styling that goes along. Or have you used any of the OTT players, let's say a WhatsApp or Viber or a Google Business Message? How have you actually stitched some of the tech together? Apart from working with us.
Yeah.
That's a shameless plug, but yeah.
Well, no, to put it really out there, that when we interact with salons, now let me give you a typical example of South India. Right now, when you are in Karnataka, you have a very different mindset and a language that you're dealing with. You go into Kerala, you largely have people who are still extremely conservative about hairdos and hair textures. We're in Delhi. This is a city where you see a lot of chemical in your hair, right? So you have a lot of styling, fashion that goes on in Delhi. And you move towards, say, Hyderabad, you have a lot of people with henna coated hair. Again, that's a different hair challenge there. So, just to give you a bit of an example here, go towards Gujarat, you have hard water problems, which is, of course, what we call the boring water that you get.
So you have to communicate all of this.
All of this communication physically is something that we did first for the first 2 years by actually having a sales team out there, visiting salons, educating, and now, of course, reaching out to them through telecalling, reaching out to them through our own platform, which is our website, ktprofessional.com, and interactive WhatsApp communication by providing them constant video engagement to educate them about everything that we do, service and home care.
And how has been the adoption of this in your experience, both at a consumer level, if any, or at I would say a salon level? Because I think one is a direct to consumer, a B2C, other would be perhaps more a B2B engagement, right?
So the B2B engagement is typically, everyone here uses salons, right? I mean, whether it's anyone sitting in this audience.
Okay, let's do a reverse. Show of hands, people who don't do salons.
How many people? Yeah, okay, great.
Zero. So everybody is salon user. Okay.
Great. So everyone here typically understands that salon no longer is a luxury, right? We've moved in half a decade or over a decade into understanding that salon is a necessity, both for men and women. We've moved into a time where men grooming is a different conversation altogether at the salon space and at the home care space. So I think that itself, that perspective of it was challenging to first break the salon mindset. And at the same time, salons today, we all understand that when we go into a salon, they're talking to you about your hair and they're talking to you about selling you product, right? I'm sure everyone sitting here has had a stylist telling you that this is what you need for your hair. So that conversation comes from the education we provide these stylists by really recommending them good products that they should suggest to you. But what typically happens at a salon, and Milind, this is very interesting to note, that we face the problem of salons demanding a product not to be available outside, online or offline.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And the reason being, because they were very clear about the fact that if you're a salon brand, we don't want your availability at the beauty shop down the road or on any marketplace.
So you have to drive traffic with your products.
Correct.
So you first phase, you said you solve the content problem because every place had a different part. Then you're saying with communication, you're solving a conversation problem, which is talking with the salon and talking with the customer. How are you progressing on that? And are you seeing traction enough there? Or is there any specific segments that you see who interact, some who don't?
So see, typically any consumer, and now let's talk about consumer behavior, keeping in mind B2B product. The consumer behavior has largely been, today any consumer, whether it's me or anyone or including you, if a stylist is trying to sell you a product, the first human tendency is we'll get our phones out and we'll see if it's available online or is the brand present or not.
True.
So by not doing that bit initially of not being present online, we face the issue of trust, brand recall or recognition. Because if it's not online, we don't trust the brand. We don't know if it's a fly-by-night operator, XYZ. So because we're pretty much just a 5-year-old company right now. And this I'm talking to you about 2-3 years ago, just pre-COVID. And that's when we realized that the online presence is equally important to even have the product sell offline.
Okay.
So that itself got us into
So you solved the discovery challenge.
Yes.
Right? But let me bring the razor focus back on conversation, right? Which is that you have solved the discovery problem. How are you really ensuring that there is a communication between that consumer and that stylist, or the consumer and the salon, or between you and the stylist that is happening? How are you really changing that whole play?
So we're looking at two different ball games altogether. One is our approach where we're speaking with salon constantly on engaging and educating them. And one is on ensuring that the client who's used the service in the salon takes the product back home and has the availability to that product even online. Both the segments are extremely different because it is, I'd like to say omni-channel, not because it's a buzzword in today's India, but purely because that is the kind of model we are working on. Today, we have a distribution channel working strongly with human resource and stylists and educators that work for the company, visit salons and constantly keep them engaged on product and knowledge to look after offtake and sale. And the second channel is, of course, or our online marketplace or our presence on our own web that ensures that we reach the consumer's home every time they need a shampoo 21 or 30 days later when it's over. So it's absolutely two different spectrums.
So you do both the engagement also. So like, for example, if XYZ is a user, you are able to kind of give him reminders or are able to give him how to use and so on and so forth. Are you actively using that into your whole content and communication flow today?
So today, yes, and at least of the last 2 months, we've got extremely engaged on bringing in tech in a big way and participating in the tech revolution. And we're looking at how tech revolution can be important for a business like ours, which is extremely different from a direct D2C conversation we've been having, And I think a B2B tech drive in a product that is actually more touch and feel, right? For any salon today, if anyone's going to sell you something in the salon, even if it's a service, and an average salon is charging you a ticket size of between 3,000 to 5,000. That's the range we end up spending in a salon, right? And if you're getting...
haircut.
But today, if you're going to the barber shops, the popular barber shops here, you're getting a wet shave done for 2,500 as well. So you have that spectrum available for us too. So having said that, I think that the bandwidth is such that the trust is important, not only at the user level, but even at the client service level.
Okay.
And that can only, unfortunately, be built offline, and that can only be built by personal interaction. Of course, someone said in the session in the morning that we're all done with Zoom meetings and would love to have these kind of interactions and these kind of summits, right? And we were also having a discussion outside where we spoke about how we as human beings are social animals that need a face-to-face interaction. And likewise with the salon, when we're saying when we go to Tamil Nadu, I mean, we need to converse with them in the language that they're most comfortable with, because it's a technical education. It's not a product sale. So that's where the language changes.
Very, very interesting. So in a way, you said in the beginning journey for you in last 5 years has been ensuring that there is a different content. You use some of these technologies to then communicate. Let's touch to the core thereafter, which is dhanda, which is commerce, right? How have you seen adoption of some of these technologies in driving commerce for you? Be it at any channel, whether it's e-channel, physical channel, omni-channel. How has been your experience on that? And what would be a nugget or two that you would kind of advise some of us from a perspective of this is a hack sheet that you would want to do as they go omni-channel?
So, well, in terms of if you were to discuss numbers, we'd still say that 65% of our sale comes from an offline presence by physical interaction, a typical traditional distribution model, where we have our human resources salesmen, typical your technical educators visiting salons, booking an order, getting a local supply from a local distributor. And we've been able to set up 150 distributors across the landscape of India, where 65% of our business is still routed. The 35% of the business has, of course, moved online. And when I say online,
which is huge.
Which is huge. Because that is...
Can I do a breaking news or not? दूर से देखो इस आदमी को 35% business online करता है. Okay.
But what is that online product? That online product is the shampoo and conditioners that we all need at home. Right? Now, today, if you're going to go back into the salon, so if you were to, let me break this journey up into two parts. Part number one is how often do we visit the salon? For a man, it's anywhere between 30 to 40 days when you revisit the salon for a haircut or whatever other service you may go for. And even for a woman, it would be a 21, 30-day cycle if she's largely doing color, okay, or she's doing chemical service, hair spa, or anything like that. So let's say an average is a 1 month cycle that a client expects to visit the salon. In some cases, we won't even do it if we are traveling or get the service elsewhere. But a shampoo is something that you're used to and you want to get the same product at your home. And if it's available on a marketplace, that's of course going to drive you there, though you may have been introduced to the product by a salon. So I think that salon trust or that salon goodwill has always helped. I mean, a brand like ours, I can speak about our journey, has also given us that faith online as well because of our initial offline presence.
Without taking names of the kind of partners that you tend to work with, right? You're really trying to solve a very complex journey across multiple distribution touchpoints, right? Which is an online, which is marketplaces, online, which is your own website, offline, which is general trade, modern trade, and then also salon specific, right? So I can clearly enunciate 5-6 different touchpoints, right? Without going specifics, but how have you kind of built up your tech stack to ensure that you're able to handle this diversity? What are the broad components that you have used? If you have to name the top 3 or 4 elements within the stack that you have actually built across.
So, of course, without naming the brand, the kind of tech stack that we're really working on creating is how do we ensure that, and see, salons again have a very traditional way of purchasing product. If they want it now. Okay, so it's not really a very pre-ordered purchase. Or client, like typically you'll see client aa raha hai, bottle khatam ho gayi hai, we need it now. And you will see that journey very, very, very regularly in a salon just because of the way things operate. And salons are generally a kind of outfit where the owner is running the entire show, from accounting to purchase to billing to making the payment to even scheduling a demo, everything, right? And these are your B's and C salons, which are far in number.
I'll bring you back at the tech stack.
So I'm coming into the tech stack. So what happens with the tech stack here is that when we're trying to engage such kind of tech stack, what are we looking at doing? We're looking at ensuring we're able to nudge at the right point to the salons, because the fact that they don't really have a count on their own purchase inventory at times due to the number of roles they handle. So one is we're looking at tech where we are able to nudge the client using, of course, we've had a fantastic session just before lunch discussing WhatsApp business and how WhatsApp business can play a part there. So we're of course working on something like that with partners like you. And at the same time, we're looking at giving them a consumer-friendly option of buying product online. And in the tech stack, we're looking at giving them the 60-day credit line. And you have enough apps and many companies these days that are giving you that comfort of a small ticket size loan, so to say, which is payable after a good amount of time, 60 to 90 odd days.
And how has been
That's
the
the
adoption
second
of
thing
that?
that we have done.
So fundamentally what you're saying is that within the conversation journey, you're trying to bring commerce into it, right? Which is, we call it communication commerce, some people call it conversational commerce. But how have you seen the uptake of that?
The uptake has been slow because
I like that admission.
Yeah, it has been slow. I mean, today, without naming the company again, one of the largest haircare providers is from Paris that is working in India. And they still largely, all of Inspiro, everything under the sun and the moon, all of that conversion happens through an offline channel itself. It's very difficult to get the consumer to start building into an online business space. And especially when you're dealing with a D2C and a B2B kind of model, the touch and feel is so important in the kind of product we do.
But are you seeing conversion?
I'm seeing conversion.
You're seeing not much traction there. What has been your experience?
It's a challenge, but again, it's the kind of challenge where to get the salons to use tech, we need to have a salesperson to visit that salon to ensure that they start using tech.
So it's not the technology problem per se, it's more about your ability to kind of institutionalize that buying or selling.
Yes,
right?
yes. And I'd also like to add here that I think in a country like India, we are largely spoiled for choice, where we have the comfort of someone really coming and teaching us how to use things. You just rightly mentioned over lunch that India is the only country where in an elevator you'll have a lift man pressing the button for you, right?
So
and even if you were go to a mall, you have someone getting you that ticket to go and park your car, where you press that button to get into the mall. So things like this. So even when the reason I'm mentioning this right now is even when we get the tech on board, we literally send our salespeople to the salons to really sit with them, make them open, place the order for them.
From that WhatsApp of
yes,
yours. So
yes.
it's that's what you do actually.
Yeah, so that I feel I hope it's not a permanent fixture for us, but at least a temporary solution till they really start adapting to it. And it's largely how you sell the benefits of it. Because today, if you are able to sell your benefits and treat your customer royally and let them know that this is what we want to offer you, and it's largely in your interest, given the credit line, given the comfort of product, convenience, faster delivery, less of phone call communication with the salesperson on the ground, I think we can overcome that.
But isn't this not an efficient channel for you in a way? Because unlike the big behemoths that exist in the market, you're a direct to consumer startup, and you have opened up so many lines of businesses at the same time, right? Do you find this fundamentally economical as an overall communication stack when you work with players like us, that you find it very cost effective of ensuring that you're able to reach very diverse set of customers at your side?
100% cost effective, because the way we can manage it under a single window is far more effective and efficient than the way we would do it traditionally, right? So our dependency on someone getting you a conversion is reduced because you clearly control it. So I would definitely vouch that tech is the way forward. And I also, as a company, constantly inculcate the habit of moving things online. It's not only about training the users, but it's also about training your teams who are used to working in a convention.
And your extended teams of salon, so to say.
All of them, right? So even the teams that work within the company that are typical salespeople from the ground also need that training of how they have to adapt to newer technologies. Distribution channels. We all use distribution channels here, both modern and traditional. Even to get them onto using tech is, of course, a education process. And I think that in the next 3 to 4 years, if companies like ours and many others sitting here and elsewhere in the industry were to adopt such things, we would see smarter business, faster business, and better business.
If I have to kind of make you crystal ball gaze and put a bet on a number as to where you see commerce being driven through some of these conversations that you have on a communication channel, what would that number be in your view, if I have to give you a 3 to 5 years horizon in your set of business?
So in terms of percentage, I would say that the business...
Or what would, let me put it, what would aspirationally make you happier as an entrepreneur if you say that, okay, if my business reaches X percentile of my total volume into kind of a communication or a commerce play, what would that number be that you would want to aspire?
So through tech, I'd aspire at least a good 65% of the number moving online, because right now we're typically the other way around. We're 65% offline, 35% online. I'd like the number to change. And the reason I say that is only because post-COVID, even purchase pattern has changed. People have got into DIY. People have got into getting services done at home. We've seen home service apps open where they're giving you comfort of salon services at home. People are now used to doing the services themselves at home at their convenience. So there's so many buying patterns also that are constantly evolving. And we move from a country where color chemical was one thing. Now people want more the natural look. Feel good in your own skin. So even that pattern in beauty, and beauty is constantly evolving. Beauty is something that you will always see evolving every 3 years. It's the most rapid evolution if you would see.
So there's not going to be a time for sure in our lives where we'll say beauty move from beauty to beauty tech, right? Perhaps you'll have fully cosmetic beauties that would perhaps walk the road someday.
I mean, I'd hope so.
I think very, very interesting journey you have done in the last 5 years, from exposing the market to nuances of a particular very strong verticalized category. And I think two things goes typically in enhancing beauty of any person, an individual, whether it's a guy or a girl, which is eyes and the hair, right? So I think you have touched a very core part as a product on this. It's a very interesting space. You started your journey very clearly, you said, from ensuring that you have a right kind of a message to communicate to the people. Thereafter, you have used multiple channels to communicate that message, whether it's physical to online to offline, and perhaps COVID actually added your pain in communicating digitally. Now you have done commerce. Take a step forward. What's your view on metaverse? What's happening there? How do you ensure that this communication that you're doing today in a physical world, on a digital world, will absolutely go into a virtual or an augmented reality world? What are you doing there?
See, augmented reality and metaverse are two things that can work well for certain industries. Of course, gaming is one of them that's of course thriving on it, and a very quick future on metaverse that one can see there. But an industry like ours is still a very conservative yet touch and feel kind of industry. Though I do feel that augmented reality can of course enhance the customer experience. If one were to see the product bottle, touch on it and see what kind of ingredients it would have, I think that would only just enhance the experience. So I see metaverse only as enhancing the experience, but at to what percentage or element you use it would really depend on your nature of business.
Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo would make an NFT and say, this is $1 million NFT, only you can buy it in my metaverse?
Views on the NFT world are very different because I just feel that either you understand it or either you don't, and the ones who are in the middle are definitely burning money.
They are nobody. They are burning money.
So yes, in the end,
with the current Ethereum crash, I'm sure they have burned
exactly.
money.
So with the kind of uncertainty in that space, I feel that yes, anything is possible with the NFTs, but as I said, only you can get it right or wrong, depends on how good you're at it.
Okay, good. I'm clearly seeing a couple of more minutes for some questions. We have tried to touch how a D2C brand kind of plays in this whole ecosystem of ensuring that they get a touch and feel of the customer across various channels of touch points of buying a product or engaging with the product. I'm happy to have questions around this from anybody in the audience. And there's tick 1, and then there is a tick 2, and there is a tick 3. There is no question. Isha, I think we're all yours. And Dhruv, really appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for making the world a beautiful place with your products, and we all wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruv. So let me ask you, Dhruv, if you were part of our audience here and I was to ask you, how often is it that you personally, for your own self, visit a salon? Let me ask you as a consumer.
Every day, I go to check.
Like I said, on a personal front, not for work. How often?
No, but honestly, 30 days. Let me ask the audience, isn't 30 days a turnaround time that we all visit salons? Or am I, getting that number wrong? 30 days, typically, I mean,
come on,
for a haircut.
we want responses. He's asking us a simple question. Anyone?
Let me ask the women in the audience who are in the beauty industry there.
You have a gift voucher from him coming in.
How often do you visit the salon?
This conference is GDPR compliant. All your data will remain in this room.
$28 to 30 days only for a haircut. Great.
Okay.
And what about you? 30 odd? Yeah, great. So I think that's the number we ought believe.
Yeah, and why focus only on the women? I'm sure the men love a little bit of pampering and self-care as well. So, how many of you? Any men out there? Gentlemen on the table right here, in the grey suit, black jacket, sir.
Between 30 to 45 days.
Okay.
Typically, see,
So-
I'm seeing all the men in the room, all are well groomed. So pretty much everyone's gone to the salon every 30 days.
So
Right.
I think one of the main reasons
Yeah.
why I also took Dhruv to come and join us today is we wanted to actually pick up a very difficult industry to try and bring to the point saying sky's the limit to which you can actually create a solution in this space. We as a communication channel or a platform players or people in this ecosystem have so much of depth of innovation that is possible. It is up to the entrepreneurs like him to pick up our mind and create opportunities for the larger industry to flourish, whether it is content, whether it is communicating, or whether it is commerce. Sometime back, we coined a term 3 clicks and 15-second rule. Our belief is, as an organization, and I'm sorry, this is a shameless plug, but our belief as an organization is if communication or conversational commerce has to flourish, you need to ensure that you're able to execute that journey within 3 clicks, and you have to do that transaction within 15 seconds. If you can do that, we would kill communications and commerce as a well together. And there are only 3 things important for any brand: content, communication with the consumer, and thereafter doing commerce with him. If you do as a brand these 3 things right, which somebody like Dhruv has done beautifully in a very specialized category, I think as entrepreneurs or as D2C companies, it could be a great way forward.
Right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Pathak and Mr. Sayani. A round of applause for both of them. May I please request the two of you to join us as we take a picture with the two of you in the same frame. And once again, this was just a way for us to engage with you and take these conversations forward.